When you think about Brazil and India, what pops into your head? Is it carnival versus cricket? Samba versus sitars? On the surface, these two massive countries seem like they're from totally different planets, right? But what if I told you the connection is actually surprisingly deep? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. What do Brazilians actually think of India?
Right, so let's cut through all the cliches and stereotypes. We want to know the real story, don't we? When someone in Brazil thinks about India, what's the image that really comes to mind?
And honestly, the answer is kind of amazing. It is just overwhelmingly positive. And look, we're not just talking about, oh, that's interesting. No, we're talking about a really deep, genuine admiration. So, the big question is, why, right? What's behind it all? Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so the first piece of this puzzle, it goes way, way back. The foundation for all this respect seems to be built on two things. What you might call India's soul, and its absolutely mind-blowing ancient history.
And right at the core of it all is this one powerful idea: spirituality. To many Brazilians, India is just seen as this place of incredible spiritual depth. This is a huge deal, a theme that comes up again and again.
Now, this isn't just some vague, fuzzy feeling. It's connected to some really concrete things. First, you've got the figure of Mahatma Gandhi, who isn't just an Indian hero, he's a global icon, right? And his whole philosophy of nonviolence really resonates. Then you have things people can actually do: meditation and yoga. So many Brazilians have brought these practices into their own lives, and they see them as this amazing gift from Indian culture.
But it's not just about the spiritual side. There's also this massive respect for India's history. We're talking about a civilization that's thousands of years old.
Just think about it for a second. You have the Taj Mahal, which, yeah, it's a building, but everyone sees it as this incredible symbol of love. And then there are these huge contributions to humanity. Things like the concept of zero. Can you even imagine math without it? And all those ancient texts, they're seen as being so important that they belong to all of us, not just India. Okay, so we've covered the deep, ancient stuff. Now let's switch gears and jump into something that hits all the senses. We're talking colors, flavors, and sounds.
So if history gets a nod of respect, India's culture today gets a wow. It's seen as this absolute explosion of color, sound, and life.
You've got Bollywood, for starters. It's this whole other cinematic universe, totally different from Hollywood, with all these amazing musicals and dances. Then there's the fashion. The sari is just seen as so incredibly elegant. And festivals. Think about Holi, the festival of colors. It just paints this picture of pure, infectious joy. It all feels so alive. And of course, you can't talk about senses without talking about food. For Brazilians, Indian food is this whole adventure. It's aromatic, it's exotic, and it's so much more than just spicy. People see this really sophisticated, clever use of all these different spices. And the sheer variety of vegetarian food is seen as super creative and honestly pretty inspiring. All right, so we've covered the soul and the senses. Now let's shift to the brain power. Let's talk about India's mind, its innovation, and what people see for its future.
And this is a really big one for how people see India today. Because right alongside that ancient history is this image of a modern-day powerhouse in tech and education.
And this perception is super consistent. You say IT, people think of global hubs like Bangalore. You say engineering or programming, and the image is of these incredibly skilled, sought-after professionals. And then there's just this massive respect for the level of academic discipline, especially when it comes to things like math.
But it goes beyond just the jobs, It's an admiration for a whole culture that seems to really value education, that encourages this great entrepreneurial spirit, and get this, produces people who can master multiple languages. It all just feeds into this picture of a super dynamic and innovative economy on the move.
Okay, last section. And honestly, this might be the one that ties everything together. It's about something we can all relate to: the human and family bond. Yeah, this is where it stops being just about admiration and becomes a real connection. Because when you look past all the cool culture and the impressive tech, a lot of Brazilians feel a real kinship with India, based on shared values. And maybe the biggest one of all? Family. It's just central. In both Brazil and India, family isn't just a part of life. It's kind of the center of the universe. And having that in common, that creates an instant connection. A sense of, okay, I get you. And that feeling of connection spreads out from there. Brazilians also really admire the warm hospitality you hear about from travelers, this incredible resilience people have, and the deep respect shown to teachers and elders. It's this really interesting mix, isn't it? Super traditional values living side by side with this rush into modernity.
So let's pull it all together. When you boil it all down, this really deep admiration Brazilians have for India seems to rest on three main pillars.
Think about the journey we just took. First, you've got the sheer cultural richness, all those colors, sounds, and flavors. Then, there's that deep respect for its spiritual depth. And finally, that's all balanced out by this admiration for the intellectual strength that's driving India's future.
And look, this isn't just people thinking nice thoughts. It has a real impact. It actually helps build cultural bridges between the two countries. It's like the perfect foundation for a genuine friendship, you know? One built on respect and really getting each other.
So that leaves us with one final question to chew on. If all this admiration has already built these bridges almost automatically, what happens if we start building them on purpose? What other, even stronger connections could we make?